Hello everyone, back with Fitna, here to resolve this scenario 1. Should be pretty exciting here. So I went over it with the last video, or 2 videos ago, because I did the unboxing in between, but I did neglect something in the setup, which I realized because it was slightly like odd placement over here on the setup card, but or setup book. But there are ISIS units on the map, so those are in play. So that might affect things how if the cards come up. So it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. Very interesting. So, like I said, a lot of the advanced rules is the wrong word for it, but almost late game, mid to late game rules aren't in this one. This scenario, that is. This is pretty much going to be just 6 quick turns of a very small portion of the map, and some of the more advanced cards and complicated cards and systems are not in play here. So I'm not. When I do scenarios that include those more advanced things, I'll explain them. But otherwise, I'm just going to kind of ignore explaining all those rules. I'm not going to get into what high tension stuff and rules for intervening factions and who can attack what and stuff like that, because there's restrictions for whether the Russians and Israelis or USA and blah 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 can all attack each other. So I'm not going to get into that until it's actually necessary. So we're just going to stick with the basics here. Explain cards like coup cards when they come up, or if they come up. I'm not going to get into all that stuff immediately. So the initiative player for this this scenario 1 is the Syrian player. So the Syrian player is going to draw. I'm trying to figure out a good spot to put these. Is going to draw their cards. They get 4. So I've been thinking about what the Syrian player would want to be doing in this opening turn here. And I think they're going to want to focus on getting some combat done. So they're going to draw 3 asset cards and 1 event card, because the event cards can still be important. They might have things that we want to either deny the enemy or potentially do other things. So this will be the starting hand for Syria. Let's see, what did they got? Oh, it looks like these are kind of things we all wanted too. Okay, so first we got chemical weapons. I'm not going to necessarily go through every card all the time, but let's just take a look here since this is the first one. So chemical weapons, player uses nerve gas to support a current combat. It's also worth 6 points. The black means that it can be used by Daesh forces or ISIS forces. They have different names. Anyway, 3 column shifts, attack or defense, on the combat resolution. +1 to the international tension track, which we don't need to worry about the scenario, can only be used by ISIS troops or the Syrian player. Okay, so this is actually a very good pull for us, because I think we're going to need to go on the Syrians going to need to go on the offensive as soon as possible. We also got mobile artillery. Player concentrates self-propelled guns, harass. 2 column shifts. Okay, this is anybody, and ISIS can't use it, but anybody else. Combat engineers, also ISIS in yellow, which I can't remember if yellow is that might be Kurds. I can't remember. I'd have to double check. Anyway, player uses combat support. So we're doing 2 column shifts either way. If played during the event segment, this allows the active player to place an entrenchment on 2 friendly non-isolated spaces. Okay, so we can, instead of using it as a combat, we can use it to entrench, which that might be useful. And then the event card, Israel-Lebanese war. Israel launches an attack against Hezbollah. Roll a die in each Lebanese Hezbollah unit, and then play the effect. +2 international tension cannot be played on turn 1. Okay, so even if the Free Syrian Army / Turkey player had this card, they wouldn't be able to use it this turn. And it's probably good for Syria to get it, just because we can use the points and not have to worry about anything else here. Now let's see here. Do we want to use this event? So we're in we drew our cards. We now do events. This would be the only event card we'd play. The rest of things we'd either use for combat or for ops points. Do we want to use this event and get an entrenchment. I feel like it might be useful to entrench at least a couple spaces here, maybe. Maybe Aleppo. Maybe Aleppo up here. Maybe Damascus. I think let's do that. Let's use it. We'll use this event. So we'll just make a kind of a discard pile somewhere over here. We'll use that event, and we will put entrenchments, the entrench markers. See little sandbags. Sorry. We will put one on Damascus, and we will put one on Aleppo. Really secure those important areas for us. I think that'll be good. Okay. All right. That's it for that. Now we will go to supply. For this, I think, first scenario, we skip it. We already have guys that are, like, the beginning of this, we ignore it on the first turn. For us here, we already have guys that are start isolated for both sides, and it's already, like, done. We don't double it up. Now planning. Now we expend cards for ops points, and we allocate. So we will expend, I think, just this event card for the 6 ops points. And now, how do we allocate it? How many offensives / movements do we want to do? We want to kind of reposition as well. We want to try to hit Dara. That's definitely something we want to look at. We can only pretty much come from this space, so that's going to be a bit of a pickle, but that's why we have the extra cards. So I think we want to try to crush Dara for sure. So that's going to be 1 for offensives. I think we want to try to move into Kassir, whatever. So that's going to be 2 offensives. And we want to get ready to probably push near Palmyra. Yeah, these are important to hold as well, but it's going to be a little bit tricky. Because we don't want to leave either of these spaces abandoned. So I think what we will do then, we're going to do 2 offensives, and we'll do 4 movement points so that we can get as much stuff into position for later as possible. That seems like a good move for that. Yeah. Okay. Let me just check I need to double check how many units can move with the movement ops points. So it's going to be 4 and 2. 4 movement, 2 offensives. Planning. Okay, yeah, each op point for movement is 2 units. And then each op point for offensives is 1 offensive. So we get to do our movement now, 2 units for each op point. So we have 8 units we can move. So there's already 3 stack here, so we can't get any larger. We could kind of shift around some stronger units there, but that would be moving 4 already. And that wouldn't really let us reinforce over there. So I'm not sure about that. I feel like we really need to kind of hit as hard as possible into Kesar. Yeah, so we got a few things. I don't know how much I really want to move. Ooh, okay. So I think what we're going to do here, we're going to move 1, 2, no. 2, 3, 4, those are connected, right? Yes, 4, don't want to leave those, but I don't think there's really much else to move, and I don't necessarily want to do more than the 2 offensives. I mean, I suppose if I had shifted 1 more, I could do an attempt. Well, Yeah, there's only 2, but then that does open them up to getting hit by, potentially by Daesh. Let me check something about combat offensives really fast. I'm trying to remember if you can. Okay, yeah. There's no multiple. You can't attack from multiple spaces. It's a group. You're moving a group of the one for the combat purposes. Okay. So I had a little bit of an excess in points, but I don't think I necessarily want to go for Palmyra yet, just because it's going to be. It's not that'd have a 4 defense, 3. 5, 9. So we get a 2-to-1. Well, it's not 2-to-1 exactly. It works a little differently. I don't think I actually explained how that works, did I? It's not like a 2. So if you look at it, it's actually the difference of combat strength. So I said 2-to-1, but that's not actually the way to look at it. It'd be a +4, or excuse me, a +5. So we'd be on the +5 table, and then potentially with column shifts if we use a card. There's no shift in the open desert for terrain, so we don't have to worry about that. And we would just potentially get something there. So we have a 50% chance of getting a defender retreat. We might also get an attacker retreat, or repulsed rather. Attacker repulse. We lose a step and withdraw. DR, defender retreats with heavy losses, or excuse me, defender retreats 1 step. The one with the star is heavy losses, and then exchange. Both sides lose a step, so I don't know if I really want to. I mean, it really is tempting, but I think I'm not going to go for that. I mean, I already said 2 anyway, so I can't, and I think these 2 offensives are more important, so we're gonna go with that. But I'll have to keep that in mind for next time. Okay, so this is gonna be an offensive. And these units from Damascus are going to 4 versus open terrain. 9, 8, 16 versus 4. That's a bigger, but yeah. We're gonna attack with the forces from Damascus for sure. But let's resolve this one down here in Dara. So we have a defense value of 6 from all these Sunni militia, and we have a attack strength of 12. No terrain difference, so it's going to be a +6. +6 here. So we're on the +5 to +7 table, and oh god, you know what? I'm silly. I forgot to deal out cards for the Syrian player because they might have. So the Free Syrian Army / Turkey. So they're going to take 2 and 2 because they might have something here that they want to use for defense value here. So this is something they could potentially play in the combat. But anyway, Syrian player knows they have at least 2 combat cards that could potentially change things. But for this fight, they were going to play mobile artillery, and the defender can choose to play a combat card if they wish. Let's see, do they? Yes, both players, yes. I'm sorry, the defender announces first. I thought it was, okay, that's a little bit, and they can't play 2 identical cards, right? I'm sorry, I got that mixed up. I only read through the combat rules once because they seemed fairly simple-ish, but I am getting the order of operations mixed up. So the defender would choose first. So they have to kind of decide how important is it to tie down Syrian troops over here. I mean, these are pretty significant assets, so I'm going to... and these are also... Okay, so something I should mention, though. The units that have the L are loyal units. And if a coup card comes up, they cannot flip. These other guys that don't have the L, they can potentially change sides if a coup card comes up. So if I bloody these units up, that's also potentially forces I'm losing out on as the Syrian player, which I don't necessarily feel that way about the loyal units. Killing them is good, which is also another reason why the sometimes not as useful but less loyal troops should be thrown in first if you're a side that has to worry about that. So I think for this battle, Kayushas can't be used on defense, so we're not going to do that. So do we deploy the engineers? I think deploying the engineers is not a good idea for this. They want to save that for one of the more important fights up there, because this is going to potentially have a more wide-ranging impact than this small fight down here, tying up a few Syrian forces. They will decline to play a card. So seeing that, the Syrian player decides they will still play mobile artillery. So that'll be 2 column shifts. So I believe we were at 6 versus 12. Yeah, so we were the +5 to +7. 2 column shifts, so we're going to be rolling on the 11 to 13. I'm going to move the box kind of over here. And let's roll that dice. Roll a 2. Not a great roll, but 2 on the 11 to 13. That's going to be an exchange. So exchange, both sides lose 1 step. Defender is eliminated, the attacker occupies the unit. If not, withdraws. So they're going to eliminate 1 unit. Oh, no, these are 2 steps, militia. Oh, I thought they were 1. They're 2, so they lose a step. And the Syrian player now loses a step. He will take the step loss on that. Actually, let me just double check who chooses the losses. Player suffers, the unit is already reduced or eliminated. I assume the player who suffers loss flips 1 of his units. So, okay, yeah. The person taking the loss chooses. All right, so they will lose from the 61st Mechanized Brigade. And these are all the same, so it doesn't really matter. So one of the militia units will take a loss. Okay, that combat's over. Next offensive was the forces here, the loyal forces from Damascus are actually going to be making the hard attack up to here. So these guys are isolated, and that has some particular rules for being isolated. Yeah, isolated only have 2 movement points, and they fight with 2 column shift penalty in either direction, whether they're attacking or defending. They can't exploit, cannot get reinforcements. When a friendly supplied unit stacks with a previously unsupplied unit, the latter is immediately in supply. Okay. Anyway, so they're going to lose. There's going to be a 2 column shift penalty against them, but that's going to be negated by the combat engineers. So they will play the combat engineers, and the Syrian player is going to play chemical weapons. So very disturbingly accurate in some ways here. Oof. But anyway, so the attack is 8-16 versus defensive 4. So that would put us on the 14 to 17. Combat engineers negate the 2 penalty, but the chemical weapons push it to 18, to plus 18. So we're rolling on the plus 18. A 2 again. So that's a DR. Defender retreats. Defender loses 1 step from the units, withdraws to a friendly controlled space. The gains control of the space with all engaged units. As armored units can exploit breakthrough by occupying adjacent space for even enemy units. Well, there's no adjacent space. Now, they take the loss, the militia, and it would be retreat to a friendly space. However, there are no friendly spaces, which, in the event of a retreat that cannot, is not possible, the unit is eliminated and is placed in the replacement section of their force pool. So the Al-Sham militia, despite only taking one loss, are actually both destroyed, and I will put them in their replacements box, which is up in that corner. And the Syrian, loyalist Syrian units will move to occupy that hex. That isolated marker is gone. These units are still, I believe, considered isolated until either a friendly unit moves in, which actually, we could do that with the 4th Armored Division, huh? Does that work on the exploitation move? Does it have to be empty? Or, I just read it and I'm like, wait, did it have to be? Where's the breakthrough? Oh, I apologize. I just saw it. Where'd it go? Where did I see it? Oh, that's for defender surrenders, defender retreats. Takes the button movement. I'll be in an adjacent space free of enemy units. Okay, yeah, not totally empty. It was free of enemy units. So with that, I think the armored will move in, which, as we read about supply rules, will automatically restore the supply situation to these units that were in homes. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. And with that, that's all the offensives and everything that we were using. And so the did the offensives. Now we do strategic movement. Active player may move a single supplied unit with a friendly controlled space to another friendly controlled supplied space, even if the unit already moved and fought. I feel like it might behoove us to move. I think we can move maybe them, get ready for another offensive. I think, maybe to Idlib. So we should move them. I think we're going to move them to Latakia, so we can prepare for a possible double offensive here. Triple offensive, really, in the north. We'll see what happens there. And now we draw cards till we have 4 back in our hands. So that's once again going to be 4 cards. And we have, I think they will take 2 combat cards. No, we'll do 3 in 1 again. 3 in 1 again. 3 in 1. Oh, so we got a reinforcements, a truck bombing attack, and Kurdish rivalry. Cancels the effects of any Persian Baraga. Ooh, that could be useful. And no retreat. A great leader orders a robust and fanatical defense. Place a no retreat mark on a space from all offensives that turn. Consider any DR, EX, or DR as an exchange. Okay. Oh, excuse me. That got me real sudden. Okay. That'll be part of the Syrian hand, which I'm just putting by the Syrian player pool here. Okay, so now we move on to the next player. Turkish / Free Syrian Forces player. So they expend 1 combat card already, so now they have 2 cards here, or 3 cards here. So I feel like reinforcements is probably not a bad one to use, although we don't get the Turkish units yet, because there has to be there's a card like Turkish intervention in Syria or something like that has to be played before the Turkish units can be deployed. So if we use this, we'd get 1 unit of mechanized Free Syrian Army, or we could use it for getting 1 of the militia units back, or repairing a couple units, which I actually don't think we have any. We only have the 1 damage unit, I think, right now. So that doesn't seem particularly useful. it might be better to hold on Peshmerga so we can control some Kurdish mobile units, which there's only one Kurdish mobile unit on the field in the northern area, which probably not that useful right now. Best they could do is attack some Daesh units, but I don't know if that's really helpful. 3 column shifts, attack only, combat resolution table. Not a lot of great choices here. I think Peshmerga would be better used for 4 points. Do we want to use the reinforcement event and gain a unit back? Could reinforce Palmyra, not a bad idea. I do kind of want to attack into Aleppo, even with the entrenchments, so could put that unit over there too, near the El Sham, and do like 2 offensives towards Aleppo. That might not be a bad idea. I think we'll use reinforcements. We're going to use reinforcements. So we're going to play that. We draw. It said we draw a card from a draw pile. I think we'll take another asset card. Potentially have good combat. Yeah, that could be useful. So with that we get, and now we are going to get one of our Al-Sham militia back. We will put it here. Oops. Here. Okay. So I just dropped that guy north of Aleppo, up here. And then we will, I think that's going to be the only event. Now we check supply for all players. At this point, I think everything, they are not in supply. They're isolated, huh? I think. They might actually be able to trace supply to Jordan. Let me double check here, because every nation here has like specific rules for where they're drawing, because some of them are non-state, I shouldn't say nation, because some of them are non-state forces, and they all have different places where they draw supply. Free Syrian army may be supplied from Turkey or Jordan. Yes, okay. Yes, units of this kind deployed in Tripoli are always supplied by the local populace, so they don't ever have to worry about that. Okay, so they are not out of supply. They're supplied through Jordan. Okay. With that, we can get right to, we're gonna play Peshmerga for the 4 points. And I don't think there's gonna be any movement at all. It's all gonna go to offensives, even though we're not necessarily doing an offensive with all points, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's gonna be, oh, you know what I didn't check was Palmyra is probably not in supply, is it? No, it's not. So that's actually isolated, because I don't think they're not supplied by Iraq. So only Jordan and Turkey, and there's no way for them to trace supply back to. Oh, so I actually was wrong. There would have been one thing that those Peshmerga could do. They could have attacked into Hasakah, but I don't think it was worth playing the card just for that. So, all right, let's just go straight to offensives. So I think the first one we're going to do, the Al-Sham militia here, 9 attack points, are going to attack into Aleppo. So I don't think they all move at once, right? I guess not. The one thing that's slightly unclear to me on this is, do I have to move attackers in position all at once? Excuse me. No, I think I do them one at a time, which allows for multiple attacks into. He moves a stack. As the consequence, the 3 units can participate in a single offensive or forward, blah, blah, blah. The offensive is unresolved, unlike more successful attacks several times in a row. Oh, I didn't catch that. So you can, as long as the opponent has enough points to do so. You can attack several times during this turn. Right. Units of stacks, just 1 offensive, occupy the leopard. Oh, okay. So I misunderstood a little bit about that. Okay. So you can actually pay for, say, 4 offensives and could just hammer away until you win. So that does change the pace of operations a little bit than what I kind of thought. But anyway, that's fine. This is why it's the first learning turn. So the Al-Sham militia first, they're going to be hitting right into, hitting into Aleppo, and it's a -2 with because it's a city. So we have 9, but it's treated as a 7 with the I believe. Let me check something real quick. This is why. Let's double check everything on the first play, which I know is not always the most fascinating thing to hear or see. But I always want to double check. Right. Yep, combat ladder minus 1 and 2. Yeah, okay. So it's not a column shift, it's just a minus. So basically effective combat power of 7, hitting into a combat of 5. 3 is 8. Oh, I'm still late and tired. 10. And then we're getting an extra, and then a minus column shift because of the entrenchment. So that's going to put us at a -3, -2 to -4, but they could potentially play something to shift. Do they want to play? So Kurdish rivalry, not actually going to help for this. Yep, and does not really help. Can't play reinforcements, so they have truck bombing attack. 2 column shifts, attack only, so that can be played as an asset to support ISIS or Kurdish troops or any type of militia. Well, that's only for attacks, can't use that. No retreat. We could do a no retreat, but I don't see the point necessarily. Well, actually there is a point. Since, oh no, they're not isolated, but they don't actually have a place to retreat to. So it might behoove us, since we can't actually increase the odds, it might behoove us here to, you know, maybe avoid a disaster. So I think we'll play the no retreat card, just to kind of preemptively stop a complete disaster. Granted, it doesn't eliminate the entire danger because there's potentially a second offensive. I mean, there is going to be one. The Syrian player would not necessarily know that. They probably might anticipate it, but they don't necessarily know it. But they have to stop it either way. So they're going to use a no retreat just in case, because they're assuming correctly that the Free Syrian Army player is going to use something, and they are. They're going to use Katyushas because it's attack only, Katyushas. So that's a 3 column shift. So now we're going to roll. And we went from the -2 to 4 table. Wait, 7 against, it was 10, right? Yeah, so it would have been -4. Well, but because of the entrenchment, so it would have been -5. So we get +3. So 1, 2, 3. So we're on the 2 to 4 table of this because of the column shift card. So let's see. They roll a 4. 4 exchange with the little star. So that's exchange with heavy losses. The attacker and defender each lose 2 steps. Defender's eliminated, occupy it. If not, the attacker withdraws to these original spaces. So each one losing 2. So I think for this, we're going to lose two steps here. I mean, it's pretty obviously we're just going to lose the 2 steps. That does, oh, it wouldn't matter. Never mind. I was trying to do math to see if it would make a difference if I just completely limited a unit versus the 2, but actually no. So they retreat back. And then now the, so they're going to lose, the Syrian players are going to lose the Syrian militia unit because leaving that around doesn't make sense, even though they are loyalists. Losing the other stuff doesn't really make a lot of sense. But we still have the entrenchments, we still have control over Aleppo. Okay, second offensive is going to be, excuse me, second offensives, I'm sorry, I keep bumping this, I apologize, my feet, is going to be, oh yeah, I forgot, we have the Free Syrian Army here. So that's a little bump. So it's going to be 10 now against 5, 8. So it's a +2. With the entrenchments, it drops to the -1 +1. Syrian player, are they going to play a combat card? Well, they're going to say no, because they actually can't, but the Free Syrian player does not necessarily know that. They're going to deploy close air support for 3 column shifts. So now we go from the 1, 2, 3. We're on the +8 to +10. Oof, wish they had a no retreat now. Okay, you can't see it, but it rolled a 3. Okay, 3 on the +8 to +10. It's an exchange, not heavy losses, just a regular exchange. Both lose 1 step, and that's it. So they're going to take a loss on the militia. Over here, do we lose the armor? Or do we lose? Ooh, that's a bad hit either way. So I think we'll keep the loyalists intact and we'll lose the armor. Yeah. Okay. Syrians have lost the armor, but Aleppo holds. And we have a third offensive we could do. Well, technically we have 2 more actually. Oh, that's right, because we used 4. So we could go again now that we've kind of exhausted both those. I'd say we do it again. So let's go another offensive from, I mean, I want to leave Yarbalis completely undefended. Well, we could strategically move something, I suppose. See, this is now where the Daesh units being there actually matters a lot, because it's potentially could open us up to some serious problems here. But I think it's worth taking Aleppo, so we're going to do it again. So this time it's going to be 7 against 5, so +2 to 4, but dropping us by 1. No combat cards for Syria, no combat cards for the Kurds, so we're just rolling on the -1 to +1. Hoping for some exchanges. A 3. That'll do it. So it's another exchange, so 1 and 1. So we will lose 1 militia strength point. The Syrians will lose 1 strength point there. We have 1 more offensive we can do. I think we're just going to throw these militia here, these militia back in it again, since that's something we can do. So one of the last offensive, 6 versus 3, so +3 table, -1. So that's once again going to be on the -1 to +1. Rolls a 3 again. It's another exchange. So with that, it's going to be 1 Al-Sham militia is destroyed. And now Aleppo has fallen as this was the 15th Special Forces Division is eliminated. Both these militias had moved in. That emplacement marker is gone. Aleppo is now in the hands of the Free Syrian Army / Al-Sham militia. And we now have strategic movement phase. I don't think there's anything we're going to do with that. So we're just going to adjust cards. They're going to draw, I think they're going to draw 2 and 2 again, because we may need something here. So they're going to draw Mukbarat, Daesh. Ooh, so that might be something they might be able to use potentially if Palmyra falls. Leadership gives us 2 column shifts. That's nice. Severe winter, all in its mountainous areas. That probably won't be useful, but we'll see. So that's going to be their hand for this for turn 2, which is what we're going to be moving into next. And we'll get to that in this next video, since this is already long. But it should be good. So we'll move on to turn 2 in the next video. Have a good one.